The Western Force have defeated Artie's Moana Pasifika in a 1-point thriller in Perth, 45-44 at full time. What an absolute belter. From start to finish, pretty much these teams were just running through each other, scoring tries, just going bang bang, tit for tat. There were a lot of turnovers that were really stifling both sides, stopping them from building up sequences and high phase counts. But at the same time, those turnovers were creating opportunities for both teams as well. Pasifika did look a bit more lethal in broken play, and they fed off that. The Force did pull back in front early in the second half, and they did look like they were the slightly more organized team. But in that 50 to 60th minute, the benches came on, the front rows changed out, and we really saw a decisive change in the game where the Moana Pasifika scrum, it suddenly just became very dominant. And this really trapped the Force in their own half, or the Pasifika. They just kept racking up these scrum penalties, and they were able to pressure on the Force's line for a very long time. The Force absolutely made them work for it. They did eventually get a man sent to the bin for too many scrum penalties, and that's when Moana were able to crack them and pull in front. They scored again right after that pretty quickly. I thought the Force, maybe they'd given up. There's 10 minutes to go. They had a man in the bin. They were beyond one score behind, but no, they didn't. A man down, they managed to string together probably the best sequence of rugby they'd played in the whole game. They got down the other end of the field. They got to Moana's line. It took a couple of tries, but they got over there, made it a one-score game again, and still, I didn't think they could do it. With minutes to go, like 3 minutes to go, they kicked the ball back to Moana, but Moana, they weren't able to close it out either. They turned over the ball in Perth's own half. In Perth, I mean, they didn't give up. They kept banging away. They weren't going forwards. They weren't going backwards. They weren't going anywhere. They were just recycling the ball, waiting for something to happen. And eventually, after 26 consecutive phases, something did happen. The ball went wide, and Ben Donaldson, he found himself with a bit of a mismatch. He was in a bit of space with only a front rower, I believe, to cover him. He slipped them, and he ran from his own 40-meter mark, I think, maybe halfway at most. He ran all the way to the other end of the field. The Moana defenders chasing him, they just did not have the gas. They were completely spent. And Donaldson, I don't know if he was powered by adrenaline or what, he just ran away from him. He ran under the post. He dotted down. He did need to get the conversion to pull in front, but he was never going to miss it, and he didn't. Ben Donaldson icing the game, 45-44 for the Force. Now, there were some big individual performances this game as well. Not least of all, of course, was Ben Donaldson. He's always been very good for the Force, and he proved it at the end of that game as well. Certified match winner. But we can see, I mean, the big man himself, Ardie Savea, he was very industrious around the park, making carries, busting tackles, offloads, making tackles. He was probably actually a bit outshone by his blindside here, Miracle Whailangi. He was huge, racked up 94 meters, 6 defenders beaten, more than Ardie, 2 line breaks, just an absolute beast with ball in hand. Another big name to shout out here was Carlo Tizzano. He was huge, makes a million tackles like he always does, 21 this game. No slouch though, 2 tries. He does seem to benefit by being at the back of the maul quite often, but just in general, he is huge around the park. And the Pasifika 11, Kyron Tamoifalau, not sure if I got that right. He was impressive this game. He's got pace to burn whenever he found himself in space. things happened. Getting 4 line breaks here, obviously proof of that. Also got at least 1 try. Got himself 2 tries. Look at all of these tries in this game, absolutely ridiculous. Jackson Garden Bishop, he's extremely fat now for some reason. I don't know what's going on there, someone let me know. But yeah, ultimately the story of the game was something happened at scrum and Force just got scrummed off the park. But they had heart, they stayed in the fight, and they pulled it out of the fire. And that's what it's all about. So that'll do it for round 1 Super Rugby Pacific match reviews. What a wonderful round it was. Excellent matches, one after the other. If you are playing Super Rugby Fantasy, stick around, check out the video I'm going to have early in the week, which will go over all the big movers and shakers in fantasy, not just my team, but who the big scorers were and who were the big letdowns. Subscribe so that you know when it comes out, and I'll see you then.